All right, welcome back. The 45th president of the United States of America is still banned from Twitter tonight. A country founded on the principles of free speech and free press does not allow a former president to speak freely. There you have it. Meanwhile, the guy that Joe Biden called a war criminal, Vladimir Putin, is still using Twitter as a propaganda machine for his unprovoked war invasion of Ukraine. What are the rules? Iran's Ayatollah Khamenei still tweeting out, despite calling for death to America and destruction of Israel and being an overall POS in general. But there may be some light at the end of this dark Twitter tunnel. And the light starts with that man right there, billionaire Tesla founder Elon Musk, taking aim at big tech censorship with his checkbook. He was just appointed to the board at Twitter, which I think has a dozen members, maybe. He's one of them now, after buying $3 billion worth of the company. Can you imagine? Savannah Hernandez is an independent journalist and podcaster who was recently suspended from Twitter just for reporting the facts about transgender swimmer Leah Thomas. She who must not be questioned, after all. Savannah, I see you're at the southern border tonight. We're going to talk about that here in just a second. But first off, I want to ask, are you still suspended from Twitter?
I am, Rob, and yes, I apologize for being outside, but unlike the reporters on the Washington Post that are intent on, writing about how bad free speech is going to be on Twitter now that Elon is a part of the board, unlike them, I'm actually out on the ground in America getting the story and trying to report on the truth. So apologies on being outside, but yes, we are still banned on Twitter, unfortunately.
You're still banned on Twitter. So let's talk about this. You've got Elon Musk. You've got this very interesting guy who's not a traditional conservative by any stretch of the imagination. He's more just a free thinker, and he's obviously a capitalist and a businessman, which is, toxic these days, according to the left. When he decided to do this, Elon tweeted out, quote, "Free speech is essential to a functioning democracy." It's very true. Do you think he's going to liberate this platform from the rule of the people that I think have totally lost their way? Twitter is saying tonight that Trump won't be coming back, even with Elon Musk there. But how impactful do you think he will be?
I think he's going to be extremely impactful, and we can see that already in the way that the left is reacting. They're saying that Elon being a part of the board is going to be horrible for free speech, when it's going to be the exact opposite. Look at what Elon is already doing right now. He's polling the people. He's actually being democratic, if you will, and asking people, hey, do you want an edit button? How do you feel about this or that? So I think that he's going to be doing a great job of bringing free speech back to Twitter and bringing both sides back to Twitter, because one of the main issues with the platform is that it is a public space, if you will. It is the public square where people do form their political opinions, and people did vote for presidents based on what they saw on Twitter. So we need both sides. We need to be able to understand the truth of what's going on in this country, and it's very unfair to have the liberal left being the only one allowed to speak on the issues.
And it's, it shows to me how weak the left are, because as a conservative myself, I hate echo chambers. Like, to me, there's nothing more boring than a place where just every Republican gets together and just hears their own opinion fed to them. I just find that to be, it's just not interesting to me. I like to see the other side. I like to analyze the other side. I like conversation. I like dialogue. And that's what we need. And that's what Twitter could be if these people would just get out of the way. That's what it was up until a few years ago. The conservative satire outlet, the Babylon Bee, was suspended for a very clever spoof about the transgender Secretary of Health and Human Services, another woman that must not be questioned, Rachel Levine. The CEO of the Bee said, quote, "Musk reached out to us before he polled his followers about Twitter's commitment to free speech. He wanted to confirm that we had in fact been suspended. He even mused on that call that he might need to buy Twitter. And now he's the largest shareholder." Do you think that the Babylon Bee suspension was somewhat of a final straw for Elon Musk? Because I know he's had interactions with them before.
I think so. They were friends of Elon. They had him on the podcast. Yeah. And I think that Elon realizing that so many of these voices being censored, and keep in mind, the Babylon Bee is a satire site. It's supposed to be fun for everybody involved, and it was. It was very hilarious. And people ended up having to, really fact check the Babylon Bee even, because their headlines turned out to be reality somehow. So I think this was the final catalyst when we can't even make jokes, when jokes are even being censored online, because the modern day is kind of a joke if you look at it now. I think Elon is going to do a great job of really cleaning up house and bringing Twitter back to potentially its former glory. He needs to bring back President Trump. Hopefully, that happens so we can hear from the former president. I would absolutely love to hear what he has to say about Joe Biden lately. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, it would be pretty easy for him to fire off some tweets right now. I'm sure that's the case. I want to ask real quick, just what are you doing at the southern border? Just tell us what you're up to.
So we're currently at Eagle Pass at the border in Texas, and we've been watching illegal immigrants cross the river, the Rio Grande, all day into our country. We are here talking to, Border Patrol about Title 42, which Joe Biden is about to rescind, and there's going to be a big surge of migrants at the border. I was talking to a constable here today. Apparently, we've already almost reached the million mark for apprehensions at our southern border. It is only April. We reached that million mark, in the entirety of 2021. It's April of 2022. We've already almost reached that mark. So the border completely out of control. Border Patrol is out here feeling extremely overwhelmed, and it's very heartbreaking to see that we have no law and order in this country, and that the Biden administration is allowing this to prosper.
It's very true. Very true. That's a reporter, ladies and gentlemen, Savannah Hernandez. Thank you so much for taking the time. And thank you for having a really good camera, because so many of these Skype shots, it's just you're blurry. You can't tell what's going on. That is a crystal clear viewfinder you have there, and we love that. Thank you so much, Savannah. Good to see you.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate it.